Hey everyone, I finished watching the next Ninja Storm episode, Pork Chopped. That's a terrible name for this episode. I don't know, I'll talk about that later. The episode starts off with at Ninja Ops, Sensei is all excited for this sci-fi movie marathon. I guess he likes sci-fi movies. I never knew that. Well, whatever. Shane and Dustin are hooking up the TV, Blake and Tori are training, and Blake falls over into the wires, knocks a bunch of stuff, and shorts out the TV. So, no TV for Sensei, unfortunately. Wacky. And then we get the real plot started. Let's see, Tori has set up two different dates. One to go with Shane and Dustin to the motocross track, and the other to go with Blake and Hunter to the movies. And she's like, oh no, I have two separate dates. What can I do? Oh, I know, I'll use my super speed that I guess she has. And she zips back and forth to both events, and I do not like this plot. Thankfully, though, it's over very quickly. That's good. But man, I was really worried when I started watching this episode because I didn't remember this one too well. So, like, I remember parts of it, but I didn't remember, like, a lot of the finer details because it's been quite a while since I sat down and watched all of Ninja Storm. So, I was kind of worried this is going to be the whole plot, but fortunately, no. This stupid zipping back and forth, idiotic sitcom thing, this is over very quickly. Shane and Dustin figure out what's going on very quickly. Blake and Hunter think it's weird what's going on. But anyway, on top of this, Mara and Capri have set a trap for Tori. They know that she's going to the movies, but then when she's zipping back and forth, they set a trap at the motocross place too. And they get Kelzax to attack Shane and Dustin there. And then meanwhile, up on Lothor's spaceship, Zergain introduces the latest monster, General Trafe. I don't know where the name Trafe came from. Is Trafe like a name for, like, some kind of pork product or something? It's a pig monster, and I feel like they could have come up with a way better name for him. Like, he's a pig Viking thing. I think he has a weapon. I can't remember what his weapon was. If it was an axe, they could have called him Pork Chopper or something. It would have been more memorable than Trafe. I wasn't even sure how to, like, spell it. Like, at first I thought, did he say General Chafe? Or is it Drafe? Or Drake? What's his name? Trafe. According to the end credits, it's Trayfe. I don't get it. Why is this... I don't know. It just seems like for a goofy monster in a goofy episode like this, you could give him, like, a pun name. Like, the title of the episode is Pork Chopped. It doesn't really relate to anything. The monster's a pig monster. Nothing really gets chopped, though. Whatever. At the movies, Capri in disguise gives Blake, Hunter, and Tori these uh, trap popcorn buckets, and while Tori is gone, they get sucked into the popcorn buckets, and there's like some magic thing in place keeping them from morphing. Sorry about that, I had to sneeze really bad. So anyway, there's a the monster and the army at Kelzax attack and kidnap Blake and Hunter, still trapped in the bucket. Oh, and Tori shows up, fights them off, and then she runs back to Shane and Dustin. Shane and Dustin. Then they go to Ninja Ops. She explains what happens, and then they go to fight the monster. The monster escapes through a portal, and the Rangers chase him. Then inside the popcorn bucket, Blake and Hunter find unpopped kernels, which gives them the idea that if they charge their thunder powers, maybe they can pop out? It works. So anyway, for some reason, Lothor and his minions are watching the fight between the Rangers and General Trafe on the screen at the theater. Sure, why not? And then the Rangers defeat the monster, they go back through the portal, followed by Blake and Hunter, who are now free because... I guess they defeated the monster, the popcorn buckets were connected to the monster somehow. And then, see, General Trafe grows, Mara and Capri show up with Kelzax, Blake and Hunter fight the Kelzax while the other Rangers get the Zords. General Trafe is defeated, Lothor, oh yeah, and this is a weird thing. We are up on Lothor's ship after General Trafe is defeated, and Lothor apparently gathered up Trafe's remains and then barbecued him and gave it to the henchman. Alright then. He's practically minded, I guess? So then, at Ninja Ops, Blake goes to invite Tori to the movies on a date, but she's being punished for using her powers for personal gain earlier. And so then Blake takes Sensei instead. And it's weird, because the whole reason he went to invite Tori was because he had 2 tickets. Him taking Sensei Watanabe means that the theater accepted a ticket for a guinea pig. And they also gave him a teeny tiny bucket of popcorn with extra tiny popcorns for guinea pigs. Alright, so anyway, it's a really goofy episode, but in the best way. Let's see. Oh yeah, when Shane and Dustin are fixing up the TV at the beginning, and Blake crashes into the wires, shorting it out, it's kind of a pointless scene up until the very end during the Megazord fight. When Cam sends a Megazord, he tells the Rangers that he might not be able to stay in contact with them because the Ninja Ops systems are still down or something. So, when I was watching this, I thought, oh, that's what that was, and it's setting up some kind of obstacle, right? No. It's completely pointless. It doesn't serve any purpose. The Rangers go through the Zord fight just fine. They never need to contact Cam for anything. It did make me wonder, though, about Ninja Storm and a lot of the episodes that were written. Let's see. I remember reading that Snippet Good, or was it Nowhere to Grow? Now I don't remember. One of the episodes was heavily rewritten from a prior, version of the episode, and I'm wondering if there were other episodes that were heavily rewritten, and this was possibly one of them. The line Cam has at the end about I may not be able to stay in contact with you during the Zord fight, if originally that was a bigger problem in the episode, was that a conflict or something? But then when they rewrote the script, everything completely changed, but they just happened to leave that line in. I have seen that happen a few times with shows or movies or whatever, where they completely rewrite something, but there is this small kernel popcorn, anyway, there's a small thing that's still in there, a holdover from a previous script where something was far more important, whereas now it's kind of lost all of its relevance. Part of me wondered if this was rewritten from scripts that possibly Amit Bhowmik and the Los Angeles crew had started. Because originally, they had quite a bit of the next season, a Hurricane adaptation, planned out before it was went to Disney, went to New Zealand. They dropped any plans that they had. But yeah, so much did seem to make it through, NinjaCon being a Ninjor repaint. I'm assuming their version of a Hurricane adaptation would have utilized Ninjor. And, oh yeah, the episode Snippet Good, I think that was it, centers around this, what was it? There's an environmental conference, and in the original version, it was a peace conference, which possibly was a reference to back in Mighty Morphin when Jason, Zack, and Trini leave to go to a peace conference. And if that was a reference to that, would we have seen Jason, Zack, and Trini, make a cameo? I know they were planning on having Jason back in their Hurricane adaptation. So possibly, or was this, just notes, or, ideas they had? Kind of similar to, in Gargoyles, Disney's Gargoyles, the first 2 seasons were, very continuity heavy, and there was a lot of notes written out and plans and ideas for a 3rd season. But Disney had a weird thing, they still have a weird thing, where most shows get canceled after 65 episodes, whether or not they're a success. They can be the biggest hit, they'll still be canceled. But Gargoyles was such a big hit, and I think it was ABC went over Disney's heads and they ordered another season, and the original crew was written off. Their contracts were for 65 episodes or whatever, but they had plans and ideas written out for a 3rd season, which eventually became Goliath Chronicles. The new crew took those plans and ideas and worked them into Goliath Chronicles, though they changed them quite a bit. Like, there was a plot where Goliath is arrested for something, and it turns out he was framed, but while he's in court or whatever, they're trying to determine, can we actually, like, put a gargoyle on trial? Do human laws apply to him? And in the final version, it was completely changed and far more simplified. Little tangent there. I just wondered if this was a situation kind of similar to that, where we had, like, episodes planned out, or we had ideas in place that were to be used, and then they were altered quite a bit. So anyway, other things that were interesting. Shane and Dustin notice Tori behaving strangely, and Dustin makes a reference back to Beauty and the Beach really early on. You think this is another clone situation? It's a nice little callback. I really like that. Ninja Storm isn't known for having really strong continuity. It's a very, like, episodic show where every episode is, for the most part, pretty standalone, aside from all the multi-parters they do. But there are little things like that that I really appreciate. Let's see. Oh yeah, the monster's name is lame. I don't know why they didn't name him something pig or pork related. Like, seriously, I think Pork Chopper would have been a better name. Oh, and one of the really interesting things I noticed with him that I never thought about before, he escapes through a portal, which is very similar to how way back in Food Fight and Mighty Morphin, Pudgy Pig is able to escape by shooting the Rangers through a vortex. They're both pig monsters, and they both use a portal vortex to either go through or send the Rangers through to somewhere. That's a weird coincidence, and I'm wondering if it was just a coincidence, or if they, like, were aware of that, and this was like a callback to it. I don't know, but it's an interesting thing. Oh, and the other interesting thing, when the Rangers go through the portal and they land, Shane gets up, not another rock quarry, which is a nice little thing. At the time, it was getting kind of weird that most fights seem to take place in this random rock quarry that just happens to be there. And then, let's see. Oh yeah, the movie that Blake and Hunter go to see is an impressively recreated Bruce Lee style movie. We even have a guy, like, who's able to mimic Bruce Lee's moves and gestures, like, almost perfectly. It's really cool. And they have, like, this sepia tone overlay on it, and there's, like, the static lines, or the film grain lines, or whatever. And even all the people fighting him, they're in, like, period accurate clothes. Like, it looks like it's straight out of the 60s or 70s. It is really cool to see. And very strange, it's just something made for in the background. Like, it looks like it took a lot of effort to make this, and it's just something in the background. I'm wondering if maybe this was something the stunt crew put together themselves, and they just put it in this episode because they had it. I know there are occasions where the stunt crew of Power Rangers would go off and make their own little short movies, like, for fun. I remember reading about, in Alien Rangers, the kid cast, they actually did go off and make their own movie at some point. And I remember, like, there was an interview with one of them, and they, like, showed a few images of it. I don't remember anything about what they said it was about, but that is really interesting, and I would love to see that. I'd love to see all the behind-the-scenes stuff for Power Rangers. It's too bad we don't usually get, like, any behind-the-scenes stuff for Power Rangers. We get the show, and that's it. Like, we don't even get commentaries or, like, information about scenes or anything. It's really too bad, because there's a lot that goes into these episodes, and especially something like that Bruce Lee recreation movie. It looks so cool. I'd love to see it, like, just uncut on its own, or at least know why there was so much effort put into it. Especially since it doesn't really tie in with the episode. Like, it's a huge production, and it just is in the background. The only connection it has to the episode is in Blake and Hunter's final fight against the Kelzacks. They imitate some of Bruce Lee's moves and gestures, and okay. I don't know what point it serves. It's also kind of weird, because it's on top of this other goofy thing that's going on. They get out of the popcorn bucket, but they're covered in the butter, which, funny thing, isn't actually butter. I love the scene where they're in the thing, and Blake says, "This isn't even butter, it's artificial flavoring." It's a funny scene. So anyway, when they get out of the thing and they're fighting the Kelzaks try to attack, and their attacks like slip right off because they're all greased up from the butter or artificial flavoring. And then on top of that, they're doing the Bruce Lee thing, which kind of a hat on top of another hat situation. So then, okay, yeah, nothing really else to say about it except the Bruce Lee thing, the Bruce Lee movie. Reminds this whole episode, the tone of it reminds me of a goofy episode from Time Force, especially Movie Madness, because of that Bruce Lee thing. Whereas Movie Madness recreated a scene from a Jackie Chan movie, this is recreating a scene from a Bruce Lee movie, and that really makes these two very similar. Also, the very silly tone, the scene where Lothor and his minions are sitting in the theater watching what's going on, is very similar to like Ransik and his bad guys joining in, like, doing all the movie parodies and Movie Madness. Not a whole lot else to say about it, so that's it for this one. See ya.